Welcome to the latest installment of Building Perspectives. I'm Simon Keemer.
I'm Mike McCreary.
And today we're going to be talking about labor and labor shortages, a topic that seems to be impacting all of our clients, but especially those in the construction industry.
Absolutely. And we've had some good news on that front, Simon. I mean, it seems like some of the workforce has returned in 2022. As of March of 22, it seems as though the labor market has returned to more of what it was in the pre-pandemic era. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that, well, the government's quit paying people. You know, we no longer have a bunch of floating money in the community where people are getting stimulus checks and those types of things. And for good or bad, the way inflation has increased, I think, has driven people out to get back and get employed again, just because they need the money in an inflationary time. So, you know, we've had some good news. We've had some good news on that front.
Yeah. I mean, AGC did a recent survey. I think it came out September, October time. And they kind of echo that about 50% of their respondents said that they had increased their headcount in 2022, which is obviously a positive. The downside to that is about 91% of the construction firms responding to that said that they still had open positions and were still looking for people. And I think a third of the respondents said that they had 10 or more open positions within their company. So, yeah, we've had some good news in 2022 with people returning to work, but there's still issues out there. And I think as of kind of the end of 2022, there was about 430,000 open construction positions, which was about 12% higher than it was in the previous year, which I think also illustrates that demand is just outpacing the supply of labor.
Yeah.
That we've got people coming back to work, but open positions are still growing because there's demand out there. The jobs are still being let, so that's somewhat good news as well from that perspective.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't know about you, but in my conversations with my clients, I'm still getting that. Well, I can't find people. We can't find folks. You know, and it's become less about retention and more about hiring, and they just can't find the people. And you know, some of that I think is been coming on for quite some time. I mean, this is a structural, long-term thing that's gone on in the construction industry for a while, and I think a lot of it comes back to the fact that you know, there's been less funding in the high school level, and I think because of that lack of funding, there's been less budget to have classes that get people prepared for some kind of work related in this industry.
Yeah, those vocational classes.
The vocational area. And I think a lot of times the high school in general, they push people to college, push a lot more people to college and a lot less people to the vocational area. So, and I think that's led to a lack of a pipeline of folks working in the industry.
That's true. Pipeline has been discussed for decades, I think, by all of the major construction industry groups.
Yeah.
And then you add to that the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
Everybody's always talking about the Great Resignation. I mean, the construction industry is staring down the barrel of about 40% of its current workforce is going to retire in the next 10 years. Well, that poses two problems, which is one, how do you replace the people that are retiring if the pipeline isn't there? But secondly, as we bring in new employees into the construction industry, where are the older people that are going to train them how to do the jobs? It's one thing to bring in the apprentices, but you've got to have the people that are going to train those apprentices and get their skill set up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think it's a long-term thing. I think that there's a lot that has to happen in order to solve these issues, and I think they've got to look, I think as an industry in general, I think they've got to look towards benefits, incentives. You know, how do we get people wanting to come work for us in certain sectors of our business and do what we do? So they've got to look at that area. They've got to look at maybe technology. You know, in general, the construction industry in general has been a little lacking in terms of keeping up with technology. Well, maybe it's time to get on the forefront of that and start replacing people with technology in order to get jobs done. I think there's going to have to be an element of that. And how they do that, I don't know. The other piece of that, and we'll have Bill Combe on, one of our partners who deals in ESG in that industry. We'll have him on for a section sometime coming up as well. But the ESG world and trying to deal with diversity and inclusion and environmental standards and various other things. I think a lot of that is all on the table because I think a lot of the Gen Zers, that's what they want. They want those types of plans in place, and I think if you can show that, you can not only attract the talent, but you can retain it.
Yeah, and it's being more vocal as a company about what you're doing.
Yes.
ESG isn't one of those things that just for the big Fortune 500 companies talking with about carbon neutrality and things like that. ESG is going to bring in that diversity and inclusion, those financial stability kind of concepts that Gen Z and the younger people are looking for. Frequently doesn't cost a lot of money for a company to do that stuff because you're already doing a lot of that.
That's right.
But it's making sure that people know that. So maybe getting it out on your website.
And it's one thing to put it on paper. It's another thing to demonstrate it, not only to clients, but to employees. Yeah.
I think ESG, but also pay rates and things like that. The construction industry has been too quiet about their strengths. I mean, how many times do you hear stories about high school kids being told if they become a skilled craftsman that they could be on a 6-digit salary by the time their friends leave college?
Right.
I mean, it's just not out there. So I think it's incumbent upon the industry to be much more vocal in terms of what they're doing on that stuff and the value proposition to really attract people in. Kind of on top of that, I would say that's all great to bring people in. I think also a safety program. Having a strong safety program matters a lot. And again, it's maybe an area where our clients and other companies in the construction industry are not really touting their strength and being vocal enough. I mean, a strong safety program, not only is it going to disrupt or it's going to reduce disruption on a job site, it's going to keep people working instead of having lost days. But that's also something that's really attractive to employees when they're deciding who to work for. They want to pick those companies that have strong safety programs that are going to keep them safe and keep them working.
Yes.
Especially the older generation. I mean, I know from myself it takes longer these days to recover from the mild aches and pains, and having a strong safety program is going to be really attractive to those individuals.
Agreed.
And I'd say lastly, look at your company and look at what your strategy is. I think the days of chasing revenue are over. I know amongst my clients, I hear a lot more about them treating their bidding activity as being relationship building rather than low bid work. A lot of our clients are moving from low bid work, and it's because they're trying to specialize, whether with a particular customer base or a type of work. Use that specialism to drive up profitability instead of driving revenue. I think the days of just trying to maximize revenue are over. And if you've got a constrained workforce, you want them doing the high profit stuff, not just anything that comes through the door.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the time and material stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Simon, it's a pleasure seeing you.
Good to see you too, Mike.
Yep.
And thanks for joining us on this installment of Building Perspectives. We'll see you again next time.